Let's talk about conflict resolution between family members. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principles self-government. And in this video, we're talking about conflict resolution in families. In this video, we're going to talk about conflicts that occur in families and how to solve and resolve those conflicts without power struggling and without emotional shutdown. And as a special bonus, at the end of this video, I have a free PDF that will help you with strategies for how to handle conflict resolution. So let's talk a little bit about conflict in families. I know that conflict can occur in any family. Even the sweetest, kindest, most loving, serving families can have moments where conflict occurs. The question of whether that conflict is going to turn into a major deal or just a tiny little bump in the road actually really goes back to, is the family prepared for conflict resolution? If the family is prepared for how to handle problems, then they will probably have less problems when they don't get along with each other or have differing opinions. But if the family is not prepared, then what happens is power struggles. People start to force their ideas on others. They start to emotionally unload on each other, creating emotional vomit flying everywhere. This drains people when they're together. They start to avoid each other because of this emotional scenario that they have created. We don't want environments like that. If you're struggling in a circumstance like that right now, if you feel like you're walking on eggshells around certain people, maybe you feel like you're not understood, we're going to talk about some things that you can do to hopefully get to a place where you do feel understood. But first, let's talk just a little bit about the preparation that could be beneficial to you if you get to that place before the next conflict occurs. That's right, sometimes conflicts are going to occur. We probably cannot stop all of them. You can learn self-government over yourself, though. If each person learns self-mastery or self-government, then the chance of conflicts actually decreases significantly. There's really no reason to have a conflict if you're focused on staying calm, being understanding, using skills for how to communicate through a problem. Then usually the conflicts don't happen at all. But people are human, they can have moments of weakness, and conflicts can still occur. The beauty is, if you've already planned for how to handle any type of a conflict in the future, you can usually recognize, oh, this is a moment where we need our conflict resolution strategies. We can use those now to solve our problem and move on from this. And it doesn't have to become something that is a mark or a wedge in the family relationships. One of the number one things that is leading to a lot of family conflict in these modern days is emotional entitlement. We all have emotions, we're human, we feel things, we want to be understood. We oftentimes feel like other people don't get it when we're explaining ourselves to somebody, and so we start to emotionally unload on each other. As soon as you start emotionally unloading on a person who does not want to receive your emotions or does not understand why you would have them in the first place, then it seems abusive for you to emotionally unload on them. I want you to just think about that. Usually the person with the emotion feels like they have been mistreated. They don't recognize that if someone is not prepared for an emotional conversation with you, if you start dumping your emotions on them, now you are mistreating somebody else who is caught unaware. They may not even know that you were offended or that you feel misunderstood or whatever problem you may be facing. So emotionally unloading on each other is not the way. It is going to lead to power struggles every time. So we need to learn the strategies that we need to have calm, clear, self-governed conversation where we can seek to understand other people and they can feel understood and seek to understand us as well, where we can deliberately talk about how we are going to talk to each other before we even get to the place where we talk about the differing of opinions. The highest level of communication is something called meta-communication. When a person engages in meta-communication, that means that they talk about what they are going to talk about before they talk about it. I know that sounds a little bit dizzying to even say that, but what that means is that you say, hey, there's something I want to talk to you about. Can we plan for how we're going to have this conversation because it's kind of a sensitive conversation and I want to make sure that it goes right. So then the person would say, okay, sure. And then you say, there's something I have a difference of opinion about, and I know that your opinion is probably never going to match mine, but I do think that we could seek to understand each other and talk about our difference of opinion in a way that brings us closer together instead of tears us apart. Is that okay? Then the person would hopefully be mature enough to say, sure, okay. Then you might say, all right, well, so first what I'd like to do is explain the topic, and then I'd like to hear your opinion first, and then I'll share my opinion. So then you say, okay, the topic is family Christmas dinner planning and what we want to have happen for the family Christmas this year. So then you would say, tell me what you would like to have for the family dinner. And then they would share all of their ideas. And then you would repeat back, this is what I am hearing that you would want to have happen for the family dinner. And then they would say, yep, that's right. And then I would say, okay, can I express my point of view now? It's going to be different than yours. Even though I appreciate what you're trying to do, I would like to share where I'm coming from. Hopefully, because they've been heard, they'll say, yes. Then you explain your point of view, where you're coming from. And then you say, now, how are we going to figure out a way in order to weave these ideas together so that we both get some of what we want? Or how are we going to make a plan going forward when we both want different things? Maybe the party doesn't happen the way you thought it would. Maybe you have instead an activity a different time instead of that family dinner, or, something. I mean, you come up with another idea when the family talks really healthy about things. At that point, you would hopefully be able to come to a place where you can agree. And maybe you're agreeing to disagree on a few things, but you are agreeing on the method that you use to have the discussion and on the plan going forward. And so that's okay. Now, there's some things that maybe you might think, yeah, well, that's just dinner, that's nothing. But we've had this fight that's been going on forever about who actually destroyed this family. Was it mom or was it dad? And the siblings are all fighting on it, and we can't get over that. And there's no way that we're going to be able to just agree to disagree. So maybe somebody doesn't see your point of view. That's called a no answer. This is the Teaching Self-Government channel. If you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know I teach all things about self-mastery and self-control, and one of those key things is a skill called accepting a no answer. When you accept a no answer, you look at a person or a situation that probably you wish wasn't happening. You keep a calm face, voice, and body about it, and then you say, okay, that's what's happening. Or you disagree appropriately with someone. If you can, that's another self-government skill, disagreeing appropriately. It's an effective skill. And then you drop the subject. After you've tried to solve it or determined that you can't, you just say, well, I can't emotionally invest in that. I'm done. You drop the subject. Even if it was something you really cared about, there's a point where you have to say, I'm done with that. Because if not, you're just stuffing emotions for your whole life. Why would you do that? Just let it go. So learning the skills of self-government as a group makes a huge difference. And if you have those skills of self-government in place, then you can have some strategies when those little moments come to be able to solve those conflicts. If your family has been fighting over the same thing for a lot of years, or if you feel like family fights keep happening, there are more skills of self-government that I can teach you. And I think a good place to start would be in my free PDF. The PDF is called Family Conflict Resolution Strategies PDF. To find that PDF for free, go to teachselfgov.com/strategy. Click on that link. I'll see you there.